do you like?
Well, at Christmas, we always have an array, and then we had taste tests. Which one? Blind taste test.
I went over to the ABC store Friday, and Joey Massio, I don't know Joey, he was probably Western Stage, works over there, said, I said, Joey, you got any, what is it called? Cowboy name.
You asked us to do a homework assignment.
Buffalo Trace.
Yes.
You asked us to do a homework assignment.
Oh, good for you. Good for you, Linda.
I
Thank
have it
you.
here, but I
Thank you.
didn't make copies. They're very good.
Do
Make
you have a
copies.
red pencil I can mark it up with?
You can mark it with
Give
whatever
her,
you like.
I think she gets a star. I don't know.
I follow what.
Yeah, I did it. Here it's.
Have you heard from either one of these? From Robert? Well, who are we missing?
McClendon?
John will not be here.
John will, yeah.
But Robert, no, I've not heard from him.
Flip a coin over there. Who wants to? Well, we'll give Robert a couple more minutes. Y'all decide. Or
Yeah, that's fine. We can give them a couple minutes if you like.
Yeah.
The YouTube is running. Sheila's not here tonight, so that's running. The microphones are all tied in.
okay. Well, Merry Christmas,
Everything
everybody.
is recording. So if you want to wait,
Yeah,
You're
right.
supposed to rotate.
it's you. I believe Ms. Collins, you were the last one to sit in, so it would be Mr. Galganski.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll give it 2 more minutes.
Sure. Yes, sir.
So what'd they say? Behind the counter? I know, that's what we know.
When they have stuff behind
Yeah,
you.
behind the counter. I knew the kid.
It goes like,
They don't have much down here though, in regard to a lot of variety.
Mhm.
You know, they're very much into
Yeah.
tequila and rum.
Yeah.
Seems like.
The big sellers.
Yeah, they are. When at Trio, I'll have people come in that want alcohol, but we're not allowed to sell it. We're only allowed to- And they'll go, I'm looking for such and such. Could I get it at the store down here? Good luck. I said, you can go to the Nags Head
Yeah.
store. You have a better chance, I think. But
All right. I think we'll get started. Rick, you want to sit up here with? You get the microphone. You don't have to yell. Linda, did you give Wes one of these?
I did not,
Oh,
but I haven't actually.
I'll pass one over to him. Why don't you give
Yeah, just straight in.
He got Wes. This is Wes. Okay, we're going to get started here. Call to order this December 20th, 2021 Planning Board meeting, Southern Shores. If y'all will stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Everybody got the agenda in front of them? Yep. Pretty light tonight, and I'd like to keep it that way. Could I get a motion to approve the agenda as written?
I'll motion to approve the agenda.
Thank you, Tony. Second, Linda. Thank you.
We have a.
A vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none. Gets me every time, Wes. Okay. Let's see, we've got November's minutes in front of us. I found a couple of typos, but beyond that, nothing too outstanding. Let's see. On line 53, should be planning board, and it should be a capital W with my name.
You sure?
Yes. Even under different circumstances. But that was all I found, Wes. Anybody else have anything?
No. I didn't anyway.
Okay. All right, well, I will entertain a motion to approve those minutes, please.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from November 15th, 2021.
I second.
Ed seconds, thank you.
As amended?
As amended, yes. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, nobody's here for public comment. We're certainly not doing that on Zoom anymore, are we? Okay, well, let's go to this old business, which is the discussion of potential amendments to Town Code Chapter 26, Solid Waste. So, Linda has been kind enough to put hers in writing. Thank you, Linda. So, I think probably what I would like to do is, Tony, since you have started down this path with us, and we're going to try to hone into 5 things that you have identified. You want to start us off?
Sure. My list looked like a CVS receipt, but I decided
Mine got a little longer, so I went along.
Yeah.
I think we can go along with, if you want to roll us down into to the code as it's.
Okay, here's the things that I came up with, and we'll put it in with the code. I think we need clear, prominent, and consistent labeling for all trash and recycling receptacles. That labeling to include trash, recycling, and arrows pointing towards the street. There may be others that we could add. This is just the beginning of ideas of what to do. I also believe that trash and recycling receptacles should be lidded, and that could be included in that previous sentence. Trash or recycling placed outside the receptacle on the street is prohibited and subject to a citation, which I'd like to work towards. Trash and recycling receptacles must be rolled back within 24 hours of pickup, and that's also subject to citation. And establish a minimum number of required trash and recycling receptacles per rental housing unit. And that's to be determined. We can discuss that. Based on a number of bedrooms, based on a septic, whatever we come up with. And after we do all that and we do the thing, I think what we're going to have to do is come up with a communication strategy to disseminate this information, not only to the residents, but to the real estate companies, which are really the ones that I think will have to enforce some of this stuff with their rentals. So that's what I came up with, and I tried to make it short, concise.
Okay.
May I ask a question? Can you tell me once again, so I can make sure I have this clear in my notes, what the third item was? This would be after leaving trash beside the street is a violation subject to citation.
Citation,
What's the next one?
Okay, the next one, I'm sorry, read fast. Trash and recycling receptacles must be rolled back within 24 hours of pickup. And that could be subject to citation too. I put a question mark next to that because that's debatable. And then the fifth one was, I'll go slow. You got that? The fourth? I'll give you this paper when I'm done. How's that?
Yeah, the next one I had, that's all I had was number of receptacles.
Establish, yeah, the next one is establish a minimum number of required trash and receptacles per rental housing unit, and that's to be determined. Whether it's based on bedrooms, like I
Yeah,
said
and we'll-
earlier, septic, we have to talk that out.
We'll dig into that. I mean, I want to get everybody's
Yeah.
list, and then we'll drop back and start discussing.
Yeah,
And then
the ones
lastly,
that seem to overlap.
I'm sorry, lastly, you said need communication strategy, so I've got.
yeah. We need a communication strategy after we do this to get the information out.
Got it.
Okay, Linda, you want to take us through your list?
So this is kind of focused on the penalties and the way to enforce them. More focused on that because I think a lot of the other stuff is covered already in there. So this was basically to lay out who is responsible, basically the town manager. And they can be delegated, but obviously it rests with the town manager. And the owner of record or the tenant, or in some cases, the property management people will be the ones that will be subject to the fines. We have to talk that out. Who ultimately is responsible. But there's a list there of what you would do for first, second, and third violations. And there needs to be some meat behind that, obviously. And if there's a civil penalty within 30 days, then there should be follow-on action that the town can take. Now, again, the lawyer's probably going to have to go through this
Sure.
and make sure that we can do this, but I don't see a reason why we couldn't. And then, keep going through the whole process of civil penalties, administrative fees, and things like that. And then very similar to what Tony just said, this residential service requirement talks about lids being on it, no refuse placed outside the container. If you go to the back, it talks about when they can be rolled up, out on the street and when they need to be rolled back. And, you don't commingle and you don't have excess volume. I mean, we've all seen these trash receptacles with layers and layers and layers of, empty containers of beer bottles and things laying alongside the road. So this is basically what this is for. And then enforcement procedures is that last little paragraph there. And there'll be again, somebody will be designated to give out the warning notices. And then somebody obviously has to follow through on that. So, I called it a code enforcement officer, but I mean, there could be many different ways to address that. So this was really focused on fees and enforcement of those fees.
Now, who has the information as to repairing a trash can, or recycling
Civic
can?
Association has that information.
Yeah.
So if you got a black, green, brown,
There, so,
all the different colors that we have repair parts, if we don't, we'll say you'll have to get a new container.
yeah, and that's just stuff that, from an administrative standpoint, it's going to have to get worked out with Public Works, I would imagine, via the town council. But getting back to yours, Linda, on the back page, do you want to?
Yeah, I want to do that real quick.
Yeah.
Back page is very similar to what Tony said about, the management of the receptacles themselves, when they can be put out, when they have to be brought back,
Right.
and what could be potentially a finable action or lack of action. And then, of course, obviously, you can't leave them in the right of ways, you can't leave them out in the curb, which we've seen, obviously, especially this time of year when there's not a lot of people around. There's a rental and then maybe not another set of renters goes in for 2 more weeks or something, so things just sit there. Right, so, and then, of course, obviously, on this list here shows what could be called citable non-compliance actions, which is excessive volume, commingling, carts not pulled in, materials set off schedule, things like that. So that's kind of a general list of things that we can tell people that if you don't follow this, if you're non-compliant, then these are citable and they are dead subject to fines.
So how do we, this would be further thing, but how do you determine that someone's not separating properly.
Well, there's, I mean, if you see a lot of cardboard and things that are in the trash receptacle, you know, instead of in the recyclable
But I mean,
receptacle.
who's gonna be looking?
Well, that's a good
It's-
question, you
yeah,
know,
it's-
because they just dump that
And how
at night,
consi-
you know.
And how consistent, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, a lot
I
of
mean,
this
is that
is,
something the town wants to police, or is it left to the
Right,
sanitation contractor to
right.
police themselves?
At
So
3:30
it may
in
be
the
something that we
morning.
don't enforce, and we may
Yeah.
just want to encourage them to make sure they
Sure.
do the right separation.
Because I know like New York City has sanitation police, but I don't think Southern
Yeah,
Shore
no.
is going to go that route, so.
No.
we won't go that far. Well, great list, great thoughts, and I mean, like I said, we're gonna circle around. I just want to kind of get everybody's top five. And I think, you know, Tony's and Linda's, it's in different format, but it's what I basically got on mine too, so. Ed, what?
My basic thing was what's going into the containers, and like for places like the Civic Association, you don't have anybody to pin the non-compliance on. So it's like, how are you enforce the separation of recycle from solid, from waste? And then is our beach chairs and beach recreational equipment, are they recyclable? Aluminum beach chairs with the fabric on them, is that something that can be recycled?
I think that one of the things, if I can interrupt just briefly, one of the things I think we need clarification on is what can go into recycling. We've gone through so many different vendors through the years, that different things, and that's a great point. I think somehow we have to contact the recycling and say, listen, is this correct? Can we do this? Can we do this? Can we do that? And I think that would be an important thing.
Yeah, I have on here is like, we got to meet with both solid waste and
Yeah.
recycling contractor to get their contribution to say, how do you know, you guy comes down the street at 3:30 in the morning,
Yeah, that's when.
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
nobody's looking inside the can.
No,
He's
no.
gonna grab
Yeah,
and then, you know, it says 4 foot around the container, so how do you do that? But somehow or another, he seems to get in there no matter what the
I know.
separation is. Good that it's separate, now you just have trash and recycling, but still.
well, that's when I said the clear and systematic, communication strategy.
Yeah.
When we're done, whatever we do here, what we have to do, unless we get it out, it's like useless.
Right.
So I think what you're saying and, to go into the communication strategy at the end, get all the information and get it out to the people, which I think is very, very important.
Yeah, it's got to be enforceable.
Well, I'm not of the opinion that it's absolutely gonna be enforced. It just has to be enforceable. And, if there's repeated violations, then we have something back there that we can go, hey, this is here in our town code, town council's approved this, and if you don't comply, this is what happens.
Yeah.
Ed, you got more, anything else pop in your mind that we haven't hit on yet in your 5?
Well, everything is going to be like, how do you get in touch? I mean, there's one thing
Sure.
is you got people out on the beach and they're gone next week.
Mhm.
They're here this week, they're gone next week, so.
Yeah, it's
that
not
morning-
about, I don't see it's necessarily about educating the people that come here on a weekly basis. It's educating the people that take money from them to provide a service.
Yes.
And they're the ones that we're gonna have to work on.
What is the other thing I'd be interested is, what is the recycling service cost the town so much per year?
It went up drastically last year. I know that. And I think it started out, Wes knows this better, like $30 and it's up to 150 or something.
I can't recall the exact number per ton, but if you recall, the company that was collecting our materials, there was a problem.
Yeah.
When China stopped accepting materials, and there was a while where we didn't have recycling because nobody could take it. So this company that we have now, well, we have bay disposal, but they take our materials to RDS in Roanoke, Virginia, and they have a contract between themselves.
Yeah.
But I don't remember what the tonnage cost is, but I can certainly let y'all know, look it up and let y'all know
Yeah.
later.
It went up drastically. I remember at that meeting how much it went, like way up. And then they were taking recycling into a dump actually, because nobody was accepting the recycling.
It was going to a waste to energy facility.
Yeah. Yeah. Where they burn it. Yeah.
So in other words, that's what I think we need to know is like, how efficient is the recycling? Are we paying just a premium to have it taken to a dump as opposed to the regular?
I know it's very restrictive on what you can and cannot put in a can, because Chesapeake was on the news, they got rid of their recycling, the city of Chesapeake.
Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe that's the new trend.
Well, if we have a recycling program, it needs to have recyclable materials, because what I see along the street is like people just say, well, my trash can's full. I'm just gonna put the overflow into the recycling
all the
and
time.
let them.
That's why labeling is so important. I think, it might cut down on some of it if the cans are properly labeled. Some people might, with the tourists, you never know what's going to happen, but the more you put in, you'll get some compliance with each thing. I don't think you never get 100% compliance.
Well, Rick, what's?
Well, there's a couple things, the lidded two-wheel receptacles is, obviously it's a must. And that's one I had, but also I know Linda had that says here that lids must be closed. I think, it should just be worded, must be able to close, because, how they just pile it up and you just can't close the lids.
Sure.
And one other thing is really lawn debris, grass clippings and stuff, which it's kind of, you're not supposed to put them in the trash cans. So where do you get rid of them? How do you get rid of them in the town?
Yeah.
You can't, during the, when they come around and cut the
the
limbs
chip.
up, you can't put that stuff out. So what are you supposed to do? Is there an avenue for this, or?
Well, that's what I brought up at the last meeting, that the current ordinance or whatever was written over 20 years ago to what was being done at that point.
Right.
Has that changed? Not only do we have to clarify recycling, but I think we have to clarify minor things like that. Can grass clippings now be put in? Because we're going by something that's 20 years old.
Yep. Yeah, and even as far as goes as, certain hazardous materials like, backyard mechanics that change their own oils. Where do you get rid of the
Paint.
paint, batteries? I don't even know.
Well,
They pick it up twice a year. They have that special hazard pickup, so.
You got others in there that you identified that we haven't hit?
No, and it's just basically in general, as far as policing on what can and can't go in trash cans. I don't know. I think it's just me. Like it says here, brown, green, clear glass, and all that. Like I say, it goes back to policing. Does this really need to be in? Because who's going to do it?
Yeah, now glass is commingled.
Aluminum cans must be flattened.
Well, that's just going back to the recycling contractor and say, well, what's the current status of glass and aluminum and that?
I really think the refuge contractor, whoever does it, should be responsible for a lot of that.
Well, and
let them make the decision.
I'm sure that they need to be brought into the conversation, how big of a problem is it to them
Yeah.
that there's garbage bags in the recycling? I mean, on the other way around, recycling in the garbage bags,
They toss
it goes where it goes.
Yeah.
But,
But I think a lot of this could go away, like if you have the proper amount of cans for the house.
Yeah.
And, you know, a lot of it.
well, we'll circle back around to everybody's concern. Jan?
Yeah, the only
Call
other
on
thing
you.
I had some of the similar, some of it was though in the legal terms, the commercial establishment. I think we need to change those to include the decision of any non-residential. And obviously, they are the big rental machines, so we need to clean up the language of that. And single residential, we need to redesignate rental units in that. The other thing was owners being, or owners or occupants, and I think that should go into rental companies being responsible. And I also had cited the one about the yard trimmings. We're big yard people, and we often said, well, gee, is it a brown bag? And they pick those up, you know, so I think we need to designate that again. And the other thing was also, when we talk about how many trash cans per number of bedrooms, we also should include another recycle. I think one recycle is not enough, that some of these need more than one.
Yeah, I know, you know, where I lived up in Monterey Shores in Corolla, we had it where, I think it was like every, I don't know the exact number, I think it might be every 3 garbage cans, you had to have a recycling. So if you needed like 4 or 5 garbage cans, then you need, you know, 2 or 3 recycling. Yeah.
In Colorado, they even make them down, the residents compost. They have, you know, so I'm thinking, people know about the environment. I mean, it's on the front burner. So I'm thinking if we have some stipulations and we feed those to the management companies and you get your, you know, list of, well, if you are in default, this is what's going to happen. Then I think everybody will understand that Southern Shores is serious about, you know, their trash and their recycling. We just need to come up with those rules and go forward with that.
Okay. All right, thanks, Jan. I'm going to go through what I had, and most of this I had from the last meeting, but I have kind of gone through and cleaned it up. And I just kind of rolled into, if you look at section 26.5, which basically is the placement and the maintenance of the receptacles. The high points for me in there is they ask for 4-foot clearance. I mean, if you get 1 foot, you're lucky, but 4 is a little excessive. And Wes, I may get you to throw those pictures that I shot to you today, if you have time.
Yeah, because some driveways, you can't even, if you have multiple trash cans and you're telling them 4 foot between them, there's no place to put them.
Yeah, you do that long row of cans. These are some from last go round, but
Yeah, where's it, how's
the
it?
back, yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
There's a prime example of they're touching each other, but they're out of room. That's right there at the large house at Chickahaw.
Yeah.
And they're out of room.
That's just trash.
Yes,
Yeah.
and there's 9 receptacles
And I
there
see a
too,
yellow
and
top
one
there.
recycle.
It's in there with trash.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, 3 foot of clearance, I think would be a little bit more reasonable to put into the
Okay.
town code. And I think, you know, the lid definitely has to operate. It has to be an operable lid instead of a can with no lid. And I'm of the opinion it should be in there that it shall be shut. You know,
Well, that keeps the crows out.
it sure does.
And the other animals.
But it's kind of hard to police because if you get a windy
Oh,
day.
absolutely.
Yeah, it's going to blow it
But
open.
once again, to me, it's not about us riding up and down the road enforcing all the time. But if we get the same violators over and over and over again, then at least we have something on the books that says we've had it with you.
Yeah.
Here, we're going to cite this rule here, and we're going to give you a warning, and the next time we're going to take away something from you. And that's, I think like Linda says, we have to put some meat in it.
I wonder how the trash collector actually did handle
Yeah.
that situation.
Well, they could, they're pretty agile with
Yeah.
that clamping thing. Boy.
Yeah.
That's-
That would be another question to ask
Yeah.
the people.
Mhm.
The recycler and the trash, what clearance do you need between trash cans?
Obviously.
Yeah,
It's-
rather than us throwing out something,
We should know what the capabilities are.
we should, before we make a decision on the clearance, we should really talk to, discuss something with them.
Yeah.
What do they need? Because I'm always amazed when they do that, by the way. How they did that, I don't know.
It happened the next day. I rode by there, and to their credit, every empty can was pulled back.
Yeah.
That was a good thing. A lot of times that does not happen for weeks. Okay, so anyway, on my end, just looking at that, to me, it's the 20, section 26.5.
Yeah.
It, under item B, it says receptacles should be moved out of the street right of way. Shall be
Must
moved.
be, or
Must be
Yeah.
moved, yeah.
Must be.
Shall be is teeth. Should be is feel good.
Yeah.
It used to say shall.
Huh?
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Oh, it did?
It used to say shall, and the reason and there are, in our historical files, I can see where there are letters, warning citations that are sent to property owners for not rolling receptacles back. And the town did it for, I don't know how many years, but it became a problem with enforcement. And they changed it back to should because it could not be enforced.
Well, like I said, there's the ability to enforce or there's enforcement. And to me, it's, we're kind of splitting hairs on what is what, but I truly believe that at least at the minimum, we have to have something in there. And if we have over and over and over again, then at least we've got the ability to cite them on a civil crime for not obeying the rules and take something away from them, like their trash. The ability for them to have their trash picked up. I mean, it's just, I don't know, a lot of it is going to be, how it can be enforced, I'm sure, on town council end. And that's something that they're going to have to work with. All we can do is suggest. But my next, on my list was on 26.6. It says the determination of receptacle size and number. Wes, you had mentioned that we might possibly be able to use bedrooms in any kind of description. What?
I think we could because you're not limiting it. You're just saying that's how many receptacles you have to have based on the number of rooms you have.
Right.
So I think it would be safe. My opinion is I think you could do something, we could have something like that in the
Or you
ordinance.
go with parking spaces.
Yeah, I think it's set up in here for bedrooms. And if we can use bedrooms, that's fine. If we can't, then we just use
Something else.
occupants.
I would put in every 2 bedrooms should have, beyond that 4-bedroom limit, every 2 bedrooms should have at least one additional container and one more recycling.
Yeah. Yep. Well, when I get to, we'll come back through and hit each one of them again, but I just want to finish up on my list. I had that, the number of containers was an item, my second item. The third that I would like to explore, and they're not going to like it, but they pick up a paycheck here from our town, and they do a damn good job in what they do. But police and public works may need to be involved in the process. And that was something that we touched on the last meeting, but I think that would certainly be something that we need to explore as far as a heads up on a problem, not necessarily have a policeman go to the door, knock on the door and say, hey, but they're riding around a lot. They can easily hit the number to the, once we get a database on the rental companies that we can give out to the town, they can at least see it. They're going to see it more than we are. We're going to stay in on the weekend.
Well, the Civic Association has that database
Mhm.
because they have to deal with the parking passes, et cetera.
Yeah.
So the real estate companies go through the Civic Association and gives the address to each rental property, broken down by the rental company.
Yeah.
So Southern Shores is naturally huge.
Sure.
And then you have like Twitty and, so that's how that
Mhm.
works.
Just briefly, and we'll come back to it again when we start discussing these, is, like I said, the public works, if nothing else, this time of year when a receptacle or receptacles are rolled out for last weekend and they're not going to be rented again for 3 or 4 weeks, have some kind of policy that would be, it would have to come from administration, but have the public works guys roll them at least off the edge of the road, 10 feet back up into the driveway. I've done it countless times around my family's properties just because I know the neighbors.
I mean, there are rollback companies out there.
Yeah. Mhm.
Almost every community uses these companies,
Yeah.
and I think it's like $2, $3 per can they
Mhm.
charge. And like where I lived, it ran about 10, 11,000 a year for this
Yeah.
company to roll out and roll back the cans.
Mhm.
So nobody had to worry about it, and they were really good about it. But I don't know if that's feasible here because just the way the town's
Well,
set up. So,
it-
I don't know.
I think we're all aware that what you're seeing is mainly the corridor going through our town from police station to Hickory Trail, probably. Beyond Hickory, it stays pretty okay, I think. But everything on the ocean front and across the street from the ocean front to the split of the road down Ocean Boulevard and out, I would say about to Hickory. I mean, I don't get up that way that much.
You're right as far as Duck Road, because there's not that many residences.
Mhm.
But once you hit the numbered streets,
Right.
like I live on Ninth Avenue, once you get on the east side of the numbered streets, you run into this
Yeah.
because there is the majority, I'd say 75 to 80% of those homes
Mhm.
are rental.
Yeah.
So the east side, you have that same problem,
Yeah.
in the summer.
Okay. Well, let's see, that was number 4 for me. So number 5 would be to require all rental operations to register with the town, not with the civic association, with the town, and provide direct phone numbers to property managers or the property manager, and send out town code requirements with penalties for noncompliance to those property managers. And along with that, require the property managers to include current info on trash recycle in rental packet on turnover day every week. Every week. We come up with a requirement that the town puts their official stamp on, that this is what we require. And please help us out. You're here for a week. We live here for 52 weeks.
Yeah.
And just, make it a friendly, but also, this is what we expect, and this is how you do it. And not just put a little magnet up on the refrigerator that tells you what day the trash comes out, but it actually has some information to it. But it's got to go out every single week in that rental package. When those people come in the door, and their package is there, their welcome package, that needs to be front and center, in my opinion.
I'll throw it out an idea.
Hmm.
Eliminate all of this. What if it were legal, that the town requires the rental company to put a fee on every rental for garbage? They hire a company like they do to put out the chairs and the umbrellas. That company is now responsible for those trash cans, putting them out and bringing them back. Not only that, they also check to make sure that the right trash is in the right receptacle and the lids are on when it goes out. And it's just a blanket, if you're gonna rent this house, then there is this fee. And every person who rents the property has this fee that they pay. They have a company that comes in, handles it, they're responsible for putting it out, taking it in, the lids are closed, and then it's gone.
Sounds good to me. When can we start? Nah, I think it sounds good, but where do we find something
They
like?
pay a fee for, putting their chairs out now and their umbrellas. They have all these little guys that will come and set it all up, and then they go back at night and they pull it all down and take it in.
Like I said, there's 2 or 3 of those type of companies in Corolla that do this.
Yeah, one of them skinned everybody, collected all the money, and didn't do anything.
Yeah, well,
No, I didn't.
I think we have to be uniform in what we do in town here. The garbage basically comes through on time. It basically does what it's supposed to do. Recycling basically does what it's supposed to do.
Who
It's
does
just,
the recycling? Is it just another part of bay disposal?
It's like I was saying earlier, Bay Disposal collects the materials and takes it to our facility, MRF facility in Roanoke, Virginia called RDS.
But bay disposal takes the trash on Monday, right?
Bay Disposal does our trash as well,
And then on Wednesday, he takes his recycling to
RDS.
RDS.
And the trash goes to the landfill.
So their contract is renewed annually, or is it?
The recycling contract is renewed annually. Solid waste, I'm not sure, I think it's annually also. But it might be multi-year, but I know that recycling is annually.
So you need to talk to bay disposal guy and just say, well, okay, what can we do to?
well, priority-wise, what bothers everybody most? The aesthetics of, trash outside the cans, the lids open, the crows pecking away? Or is it that we're mixing recyclables with garbage and vice versa? I mean, if you had to pick one thing that bothered you more than the other,
It would be.
What would it be?
It would be labeling the cans. In other words, it's the aesthetics where
Yeah.
I think labeling the cans correctly with lids, to me, and not having stuff laying on the side. In other words, restricting the
Yeah.
garbage that we see laying next to it.
so.
That to me is the priority, and I think the rest will kind of flow off of that.
Linda,
I
what,
agree with Tony.
yeah, to me, it's the aesthetics. It upsets me that, recyclables go into garbage and vice versa, but I'm more upset by the appearance. And I think we can control the appearance a whole lot more than we can the other way around.
Just have enough cans for everything you need, and a lot of that goes away.
Yeah, okay. Well, I think we're all kind of wanting the same thing, but we've got to, if we're going to make a list that we would like to see occur, I don't think we're necessarily going to rewrite the trash ordinance in the town code. But we can certainly make some suggestions that staff could work on to rework some of the language that's in there right now. And I think the big thing for us is to start with how many cans do we think is reasonable for these rental companies? And like I said, in that picture right there are 9 receptacles and 1 recycling.
How many bedrooms is that house?
12, sleeps 24. It's the biggest, those 2 houses, the 2,
Yeah.
are 12 bedrooms. They're the largest 2 houses in Southern Shores. There is 1 9 or 10 bedroom, right?
There's another, maybe 2 10-bedrooms.
And then everything else is pretty much 7.
Yes.
But in putting this together to suggest to town council what we would like to see occur, I think that the language needs to state that the residential units offered for vacation rental and permitted by Dare County Health Department. We need to put some language about the septic capacity based on the number of occupants. Because if you look online, especially on the VRBO, Airbnb, they are advertising some big numbers in there. And that's something for another day as far as, how do we.
Because they have the bunk beds,
Mhm.
so they get twice the number
Yeah.
of people. in rooms.
So when it starts out in section 26.6, it says each residential unit shall have at least 1. I mean, that would be a language thing for staff to work on, is how do we address it as occupants that are legal using the septic capacity from the Dare County Health Department. I mean, it's just another way of keeping density in check by saying you got to have, garbage receptacles for the amount of septic capacity that you have, or we could just simply just go bedrooms. I mean,
I think a start is, 1 can per every 2 bedrooms. And for every 2 cans you have a recycling can.
I had just, let's see, the original language that's in here, it says 4 bedrooms or less, you have to have 2 receptacles and 1 recycle.
Right.
Then the next tier up is 5 or more,
Mhm.
and then that's it, right?
Yeah, it doesn't distinguish between 5, 6, and 7.
No.
It also, one of the things we have to pay attention to also in this is where they have, first sentence, each single residential unit shall have at least 1 of each town-approved solid waste and receptacles. That's non-rental. Am I
Right.
correct? So
Yeah.
I think we should put in there the non-rental aspect of it
Mm-hmm.
to make it clear, because somebody will say, well, this is a single unit, and you have to make a difference between rental and non-rental, but make it clear in the ordinance so anybody can pick it up and read it.
Mm-hmm. So in 26.6, what we're gleaning out of that is we want to work on the that language that Tony has just brought up, and then move into the number of bedrooms. The way it is right now, 5 bedrooms, which would be 5. When this ordinance was written, and it was probably, I don't know if it was pre-7 bedrooms or not. Do you, Wes?
I'm not sure. the date
Because
of it.
we've had 7 bedrooms for a pretty long while.
Well, it was 7 bedrooms for a long time, and then it was the septic capacity.
But and this is just a starting point. What I just looking through here on what's there right now, 8 occupants, which equates to 4 bedrooms. The current ordinance requires 2 garbage, 1 recycle. The next step up, I think, would be 10 to 14 occupants, which equates to 5 to 7 bedrooms, would require 3 and 1 receptacle. Once you get over the 7, the tier would, and this is just a suggestion, 16 to 20 occupants, which equates to 8 to 10 bedrooms, would require 4 receptacles and 2 recycle. And then 20 or greater occupants, which we only have a very few of those, but 20 or greater, or say 12 bedrooms, would be 5 receptacles and 2 recycle. But we could.
At what point would you just say get a dumpster?
That was,
No, really. I mean, a small dumpster.
They go up, Citable Hills are all over the place up there. I'm not so sure
I
about
mean, it's a lot easier to, the lid isn't as frail and they can take some.
Well, I would think a lot of these houses are maxed out on lot coverage, and a dumpster pad would probably put them over the limit. Plus, you got to screen it, and then you're talking about a whole different set of trash collection. I think we're stuck with cans, unfortunately,
That's
but
a hell of a mess out
it
there
is.
on the
Wes?
highway.
yeah.
Mr. Chairman, Matt, just one question. Going back to the numbers that you said, 16 to 20, 4 receptacles, 2 recycle, 20 plus 5 receptacles, 2 recycle. What was the first category? 2 to 14?
The first one would be up to 4 bedrooms.
Up to, was it occupants or bedrooms? I had occupants.
4 bedrooms, 8 occupants.
I don't know if you can go by occupants, but it's like Jan said, they got bunk beds and everything in all these rooms. You just don't know. I think you
Yeah, I
just
think
have to squeeze it to bedrooms.
Yeah,
and that's it.
bedrooms is,
Yeah,
So it's 4 bedrooms, 8 occupants is how many receptacles? How
well,
many cans?
what does the language in here say? Residential units of 4 bedrooms or less offered for vacation rentals shall have at least 2 solid waste receptacles. That's on the books right now.
Right. And is that what you're proposing to keep in place?
I mean,
Okay.
I think that's reasonable, but then it goes residential units of 5 or more, which at the time this was written was 5 to 7 bedrooms or 10 to 14 occupants.
But
however
you can't
you-
use occupants.
Pardon?
Can't use occupants.
I don't know if we can use bedrooms. I mean, we're not.
I think you could use.
Yeah, I think-
I'm fine with bedrooms. All I'm doing is
Yeah.
multiplying a bedroom times 2 to get the number of occupants.
You could use the bedrooms, I think, because your septic is based on the
Yeah.
bedrooms.
Yes, well,
Yeah, bedrooms not
it-
occupants though, right?
no,
So I just say keep it consistent.
You
Well-
have to keep those separate for zoning purposes, but for this, we're not regulating the number of rooms.
it would
So-
be, you asked Ben about it. We'll make sure that when we proceed on that, we've got a check off from Ben maybe on using bedrooms in this.
I think you can. They use
Yeah, I
it,
think
they
they
use
I
it up
feel
north.
pretty confident that we
Yeah.
can, but yeah, he'll take a
Hey,
look at it eventually.
It's just simple math. 1 bedroom equals 2 people. So if it's occupants and, but yeah, bedrooms is easier for everybody to understand. But I don't know, the typical 7-bedroom house, and there's a fair amount of them, I would think, require 3 garbage cans. Anecdotally, I'm thinking of my family's, the last house I built for my family is 6 bedrooms, and we have 2 receptacles, and it generally is okay. Occasionally it gets overflowing because people forget, the cleaning crew forgets to put it out on Saturday sometimes. So the new tenant gets there and
Already open.
has a party or something. But anyway, the current ordinance says, 5 plus is 3. So the next tier down would be 8 bedrooms to 10 bedrooms require 4 and recycle 2, and 20 or greater, 5 and recycle 2. Like I said, that house at Chickaw has 9 of them.
The only thing I would say is the recycling would be, the number is too low and higher. When people come here, and if they do recycle, there's more beer cans and soda cans and wine bottles than there is garbage in some of these houses. So
Pizza boxes.
pizza boxes, yeah, but anyway, so I don't know when you get into the higher one, 20 plus, if 2 recyclables could handle it. I mean, if you have these wedding houses here, and what they're doing is having, the aphrodisiac or the other one, I think there's a lot of partying going on, and I think they should have more recyclables.
That's
So-
every 2 garbage cans, you have a recycling can on a rental house.
Yeah.
It's just make it clean and simple.
Well, do we say
1
20?
can for every 2 bedrooms and 1
20
recycling for every 2 cans.
Do we say 20 or greater? We're
I don't
at
think
8
you
to
need to worry
10.
about that.
At 8 to 10, we have 4 garbage, or this was just my, calculations. In the 8 to 10 bedrooms, we have 4 and 2 recyclables. So we go above, 11, 12 bedrooms is the next tier. We go 6 and 3.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, I see where.
And what we could put in there, in the writing of it, is minimum. They will have the minimum of this. So, if it comes late, you must have a minimum of 4 and 2. You must have a minimum of 5 and 3. That kind of ensures.
If you get hit with a fine, it'd be easier to buy containers than.
Yeah.
Okay, so were we in agreement on that breakdown there? So 6, from 11 to 12, which is basically what it is. We're saying 8 to 10 is 4 garbage and 2 recyclable. From 11 to 12, and we're capped at 12, and hopefully that's it. So 6 and 3. Getting that, Wes?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, so on, skipping back up to 26, section 26.5, I feel pretty strongly that the container shall be, have an operable lid. Not, and replace the
You should
language.
Put wheels in there too, maybe.
Yes,
too.
yes, should be operable
I think
wheels
that's
and
a,
lid.
functional lid.
Yes.
You could have a shredded lid.
That's right.
Functional lid.
Yeah. So somewhere in that section 26.5, we would suggest some lid language, clearance around the container, but there you go, 4 feet of clearance. I think 3 seems to be.
Let's hear from the company.
Yeah, but we'll just leave it at that. But once again, item C, when it says residents and business occupants shall be responsible for maintaining the pickup, well, yes, that definitely needs to be left in there. The lid, I think, should.
I think C should be also added rental companies in there too.
So say that,
Property management.
Property management
Yeah.
companies, yeah. Not just keep it as residents.
right, and business occupants, yes. Yeah, so, in 26.5C, Wes, what we are suggesting is residents rental or property management companies and business occupants shall be responsible. So that encompasses just about everybody. And then, I don't know if we need to wordsmith about the lid, but I think that in item B, we should revert back just as 4 feet of clearance shall be left around the container. I mean, how many times has that been enforced? Zero. I can tell you, I'd stake my life on it. But if we don't put receptacles shall be moved out of the street right of way within 24 hours, then we have no enforcement there. I mean, if we just keep getting the same 3 or 4 houses, rental companies leaving them out there indefinite amount of time, then we drop back and go, you're in violation of 26-5C if you don't stop. But if we say, well, you should read 26-5B and it says should doesn't mean much. It's permissive. Shall means you shall. And it's a legal way to make somebody comply. So do y'all think that we should ask to replace should be in 26-5B with shall?
With shall, yes, definitely.
Okay. Okay. I'm just going to flip through the ordinance. This is page 4. We've gotten 26-6 pretty squared away as far as the number, determination of receptacle size and number. Anybody else have anything on those two, 26-5 or 26-6?
Well, I'm thinking where should we put or place the labeling of all trash and recyclables? That should be placed somewhere, my guess, in placement and maintenance, because that would come under 26-5. That's a maintenance issue.
Isn't it mentioned somewhere? I was thinking it was mentioned somewhere in this.
I don't remember it being mentioned, but that doesn't mean it's not.
Where does it say that something's pointed towards the street? It's in one of those two, I think.
It's on 26.5A, last sentence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
The
container shall be faced with lid openings towards the street.
Right.
You could put your lid labeling right after it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I had it in my list was I had stencil or adhesive label or, I mean, something.
Yeah.
And I'm not so sure that this is necessarily an ordinance issue other than asking the town to come up with a strategy that either does stenciling, you could go down to town hall and buy a stencil, like, Wes, can you pull up the picture of the green trash can with the lettering? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something I made. I mean, it's not a stencil, but I drew it on there and it's held up. I mean, that's 3 or 4 years old, but you can see the sticker below it.
Yes.
That's probably a year old. The sticker doesn't get it.
That's what you're allowed to recycle?
Pardon, no, that's garbage. It's written right on there, garbage, street, 3 feet between cans.
You're in violation.
I know,
You're
I didn't
putting in
realize
violation. You're showing everybody
it
how
should
you
have been
violated
4.
it.
I think I'll go through there and scratch it out. I won't be able to sleep tonight.
What's your
Make
fine?
sure that's in the minutes of the meeting, please.
What
Well-
violation, what fine are you in?
But anyway,
I guarantee you that those tents, with those 9 across, whether they're 3 feet or 4 feet, they're never gonna be
No.
all the way.
no.
No.
They don't have a big enough,
No.
they don't have a big enough
No.
lot on that side.
No.
But I guess as far as, trying to reword some of this and make suggestions, this wouldn't come into the rewording, this would come into the suggestions for the town, public works, or I'm not quite sure what category this falls in. But we need to be able to come up with either a stencil that someone could come up and we give them away at town hall that's basically has something similar to this, or we come up with some bulletproof.
What about, we used to just have different colored trash cans.
Oh, we still do.
I
There's
know, that's why we have blue and green and brown
No,
and
it's-
black.
I mean, putting a stencil on the can, do the property owners all own the receptacles, or are they leased from the,
No, they're owned.
They're all,
They're all
owned. I mean,
okay.
the one I've got, I've had since the day they were free.
Yeah.
Mine was free.
Yes. So is mine.
They're not free anymore, but you buy them, and the lettering, I mean, we don't have, and Cliff at our last meeting, I think, said that Nags Head had taken on a uniform trash can and it cost a fortune. So I doubt we're at that point just yet, but if we can identify and ask the town to come up with some strategy that would work, I think the stickers are probably good for about a season. So what do we do? I mean,
Well-
something that would be on the suggestion
It
side.
would be on a suggestion, you could use the word also, it is required. It doesn't, it is required that all trash and recycling receptacles be labeled trash and recycle.
Mhm.
And that, put that at the end of that 26.5, and in other words, not as an add-on.
Well, but they basically are already. You just have to, look at it real good.
Well, that's,
That
yeah,
one says garbage only up top,
Yeah.
above garbage.
yeah,
And that one's one of the better ones.
yeah, because mine don't say that. And go back, on my street, which is a very small street, I counted 9 different styles of
Yeah.
trash can,
Yeah.
which is pretty amazing.
Yeah. So I think that we leave it quite possibly as, a suggestion to town council to, devise, authorize the, public works to get us some
And
labeling.
maybe the contractor has these stickers that they could put on the cans.
I'm not sure. Where did those stickers come from, Wes? Like that one right there.
I'm not sure what year that's from. I think it's been longer than a year since we did stickers. Or at least
Oh,
I
yeah,
printed.
no, that one's probably been on there for 3 years.
Okay. There's grant money available, for example, like this year, we received a grant to purchase magnets, refrigerator magnets that we distributed to all the rental companies, as well as handed out to property owners when they came in and got their parking passes this past spring. That says what's recyclable and what's not.
Yeah.
There's a lot of grant money out there for educational purposes. And then also in our recycling contract, there's also, it's in there that they have to provide funding assistance for educational outreach. But I don't know when I don't recall exactly when that sticker came out. But over the years, there have been several different types of stickers
Yeah.
that have been distributed.
And they don't hold up too well on,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, maybe there's a company out there that can make a sticker that sticks.
Yeah, I believe Duck distributes stickers, and I could bike down before the next meeting and see if they do have them, and I could bring it as an example, but I'm pretty sure Duck distributes stickers from their town hall.
Yeah, I know up in Crowell that these rollback and roll out contractors that do with the associations, they got their stickers from the cartage companies. You know, like Bay Disposal or something.
Yeah.
They provided him, and if one was missing, he would, you know, re-sticker the can as they rolled them out.
Well, interjecting back into what you were saying as far as it must, the container shall be faced with lid opening towards the street. I think we need to, have a lid in there, which we've noted. And what you want to read what you said about just briefly requiring, designation on the can. I mean, what?
Yeah, I would have put it at the end of that, and I would have put clear, prominent, and consistent labeling for all trash and recycling receptacles. This is what we won't put that there. But labeling it is required that trash and recyclable cans be labeled appropriately with the arrows pointing towards the street. So if it's a requirement, but we're not hitting them with the enforcement like we, earlier you defined or.
Yeah.
And I think if the town sent it out that it's now required that and they have labels or something that to help out in that, or a Bay, as you said, provides it, it would actually be advantageous to Bay to provide it. Hand them out.
Okay, well, I think we're gonna put that on the suggestion end. How do we identify and label these cans that is much clearer than what's out there right now?
Yeah, like I said, there's 9 different cans in my block. You tell me which is recycling and which is trash.
Okay. All right.
Well, now, if recycling is always done on a separate day from garbage, what difference does it make?
Because the
What they
rental
throw.
companies put recycling out on Saturday along with the garbage. That most of them do. That you'll see the recycling cans sit out there from turnover day, Saturday or Sunday to Wednesday.
Instead of labeling, just a different color lid, like, a yellow lid for recycling and
That's what they tried to do. And I could show you 3 different cans.
Wait a minute, so they don't
To-
get
to let-
tagged for doing that? With this new thing, if they put everything out on Saturday and they let the recycling or the trash stay till Monday and the recycling stay till Wednesday,
It's what's been happening for
well, that's,
ever since it went
that's
Wednesday.
against, that's against the current,
And one of the reasons I think labeling garbage and recycle is important is that the residents or the renters know which can to put the stuff in.
yeah, absolutely.
Because right now, like I said, there's so many cans that you don't know whether it's recycling or it's, the green can is trash and the brown can is recycling. What sense does that make? But that's what it currently is right now.
Yeah.
It's counterintuitive.
And then there are actually, people have gone to, Walmart or Home Depot or somewhere and bought their own can. And that if it's big enough and it's got the reinforced sides.
Yes.
I mean, I've seen some of those. So, yeah, we need to strongly lean on town council to come up with some type of labeling that is clear and understandable. And as far as making it, a shall be or a should be, I think we just ask that the town explore that possibility is a big start in trying to clean some of this stuff up.
Maybe check with the commercial end with the actual is picking up the trash, Bay and the other, to see if they have labeling? I
Mhm.
mean, you say there's grants for this. I mean, they might have all these labels that they get free
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
And are available, or they could get them
Mhm.
and,
Yeah.
buy them. You
Well-
also ask them about the distance, if they can pick up 9 of those, one right after the other, then why are we putting in there they have to be 3 feet apart?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
they're not gonna be put 3 feet apart.
No.
So, and if they're picking them up.
Well, I think
eliminate that.
we always try.
I mean, the cans are designed for that, to get in between, because the tops are
Mhm.
wider. So really, they could be up against each other and he still could get in there.
Well, I think if we still ask to space them, it's more efficient for the guy
It is,
coming
but-
through, for
but
sure.
Then again, you don't want the cans lined up on the street going to duck either, so.
No.
And it's like, too, how much are we gonna ask of them? Let's, hone in on what's really important. It's really important to get the trash out there at the right time and get it out the street at the right time. And to get the right receptacles with the right trash in,
Yeah.
So, in other words, pick your poison as far as what's really
Mhm.
important. 3 feet, is that really important when they can pick them up anyway?
Yeah, well,
No, but the big thing is, let's get them off the street, and let's make sure that the recycle is in. And maybe, put more emphasis on recycling, if the company's truly recycling and not just bringing it to the dump.
well, let's move on to 26:7 and 26:8 and 9, that page 5 of,
There isn't any specific, that's just in the overall tax, property tax for 26.7.
yeah.
Solid waste, that's just whatever your house is
Mhm.
valued, that's gonna cover it, whether you're a
Yeah.
10-bedroom or you're a 2-bedroom.
Sure. I mean,
You're paying,
the more your property's worth, the more you're gonna pay in taxes, whether it's
Yeah.
garbage or police or fire or anything else. I didn't see anything that jumped out. You look at 26-9 B. It says all recyclable materials shall be separated from other solid waste and made available for recycling. I mean, it's on the books. All we can do is ask that.
And I think 1, 2, 3, and 4, I really don't think that should be in there, because that's gonna change on whoever the contract carrier is gonna be. They're gonna have their own needs and wants on recycling, so that could change
Mhm.
every contract.
I mean, it's kind of a guideline, but I think that,
gotta be specific and clear.
yeah, I think it
And just leave the policing up to them.
is I mean, I don't have any problem with it being in there. It may not be necessary, but I don't know if we need to strike it.
I'd like to add one sentence to that rather than striking it. Recyclable materials must not be placed in plastic or paper bags into the receptacle,
Right.
because they will be automatically taken to the landfill. If they're in they throw it away.
Yeah.
So I think it's a minor thing, but I think it's
yeah.
an important thing, because you see many people just taking bags out. I see it on Saturday, people taking bags out and throwing it into the recyclable when it's not picked up.
Yeah.
So I think adding maybe a sentence there.
Okay. So you want to,
I put down recyclable materials must not be placed in a plastic or paper bag into the receptacles.
yeah,
You cannot place.
they should be
Empty out. Empty
placed
in.
loose.
You're gonna fit more in a can anyhow by doing it that way.
Yeah. Mhm.
Wes, in 26-9B, you getting what Tony said there?
Add that plastic bags shall not be used.
Shall not be, they shall be placed in the container loose, not enclosed in a plastic garbage bag or.
Yeah, I had down recyclable materials must not be placed in a plastic or paper bag into the receptacle.
Recyclable. Okay.
Really? A paper bag?
Paper might be, I think it's,
Well, not if there's stuff in the paper bag, because they don't see.
A paper bag filled
Well,
with newspaper
yeah.
envelopes.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's okay. Well, that might be okay, but they won't take, if you put stuff in a paper bag and throw the paper bag and they don't know what's in it.
If they can't, yeah, they need to see what's in.
Yeah.
So if they can't see what's in it, they toss it.
Basically, it needs to be placed in the container loose and not bagged. How about that?
Yeah, that's better wording, better wording.
It shall be placed in the container loose and not bagged. I mean, this is just feel-good stuff, like Jan says. We can, in the final salutation to all of this, we've got to educate.
Yeah.
And we've
Yeah,
got to
that's what it
rely
amounts
on
to.
the
Yeah.
real estate companies to help us in that. And we've got to put some language in there that requires them to help us with this. It should be volunteer on their part. Okay, next page. This is more construction, demolition, bigger stuff. I didn't see anything on page 6. Anybody have any?
No.
I did notice in section 2611, notice of violation or nonconformity. A, notice. If any refuse collection site or receptacle does not meet the town specification, then the town shall give the property owner written notice. To me, that's big. That needs to stay in there, and they
Yes.
probably need to put it in larger letters. But that definitely needs to stay as written. And once again, there's probably never been more than a handful of written notices that have gone farther than a written notice. But at least it gives us the opportunity, if it becomes a habitual problem, habitual offender, it's on there. And if you flip over, I like this. If you keep misbehaving in item B, there is a thing called discontinuation of service. Now, how bad would that put that house at 64 Ocean Boulevard, or wherever it is there at Chickahawk? Once again, it's probably never happened. I can't imagine that it has, but it's there. And if we had to lean on it, we don't have to go make a new ordinance to, take care of a bad actor. It's already there.
Yeah, and C, the last sentence in C reinforces it.
But once again, that is something in the notice that I think we need to suggest to get out to the rental companies and also to the owners.
Yeah.
That use the rental companies, is we got to let them know that that's the last recourse for bad behavior.
You're drowning your own trash.
Yeah. Okay. On going down that page, anybody have anything that needs attention?
Well, I struck in D, I just struck one thing. I thought it was kind of silly to have it in there, but it shall be unlawful for any person to leave outside any building or dwelling in a place accessible to a child. I crossed that out because, my God, everything's accessible to a child. You show me a place that's not, So I struck out just that word in a place and left the rest of it is fine. I just thought if we're going to redo it, it's just a minor thing, but.
Isn't there a separate ordinance about white goods and things left out on the street? We don't, in other words, you don't.
It's twice a year they pick
Twice a
them
year
up.
they pick them up.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not detrimental to, the necessarily to strike children. I mean, it's kind of a duh thing, but I don't.
Okay,
know as we-
I just thought if
Yeah.
we're rewriting it,
Who's that? Bourbon time. But as far as what I've got in 3612 is in number C, receptacles shall not be overfilled. Once again, that needs to be highlighted in what the town provides to the rental companies. And the lids must be closed to prevent contents from blowing due to strong winds or scattering caused by foraging animals. But lids must be closed and operable, or must be operable and closed.
Hello? It's just ringing.
It's a scam.
yeah.
It's your auto warranty, they're calling you.
Trash can.
Yeah, it's Monday. But anyway, somewhere in 2612C, I feel like that the lids are being addressed as being closed, which I like. I mean, just because they never get closed doesn't mean that we can't have it in there. And we just can point to that. It says receptacles shall not be overfilled. The lids must be closed. Wes, where would we put?
I would just add it at the end of the sentence. All lids shall be operable.
Yes, whole and operable. Or in one functional, operable. I mean, you see some that are,
All shredded.
yeah, or they're, they've run over half the lid, so half the lid works. So the lid has to be operable and cover the entire receptacle.
This must be complete and operable.
Yes, and cover the entire receptacle.
Going back to Vice Chair DiBernardo's suggestion on striking in a place accessible to children, was that something y'all wanted to keep or no?
I don't think it's, it's not harming the intent of what they're trying to do. I mean, if we want to talk about it some more, I think it's just
It was a silly,
yeah.
where children can't get a hold of it. The children can go any place. So why even have it in there?
It
you
may
know?
be just a CYA thing too,
Yeah.
from a legal standpoint. I don't,
And it just brings to mind that kids can be here too.
yeah.
So it's focusing on the point of not having doors on
Mhm.
appliances.
Yeah.
So we'll leave that there.
Yeah,
For a child safety.
I think.
I don't have any problem with
Okay.
that.
All right. Next page 8.
I think though, on the bottom 2613, all owners or occupants, we should also put it there, or management companies. Because the owners aren't here,
Yeah.
so I think we should add management companies.
Okay. All owners,
To include management companies.
Or the
How-
representatives?
how would you word up that, Wes?
Rental company?
All owners, occupants, or property management companies.
Yes.
Or just, I would say property managers. We won't say company because it
Yeah,
could be an
property
individual.
managers.
Property managers. Excuse me.
Because truthfully, property managers going forward in time with ARBO, vacation rental stuff, shared rentals, there's going to be 2 and 3 properties that are managed by, just one, person. And they're not going to be companies, they're going to be property managers.
Well, so a rental house could have the owner, when he's there, in the off-season,
Right.
a property manager for the
Mhm.
rental season, and if he has a VRBO on top of that, it could be separate,
Right. So that encompasses all of them.
all of them.
Yeah, which is what we want to do. Yeah. Okay. I'm going over to page 8. Once again, 2614, trash and solid waste upon property generally. Item A says it all, it shall be unlawful for any person or the employees or agents of any person to throw or otherwise deposit solid waste, bottles, cans, or other containers, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's a long sentence, but basically it says you can't put them outside of the receptacles. That's basically what it is garbage and recyclable should not be outside the receptacle on the ground. It's unlawful.
Yeah, this has to be written by an attorney, this sentence.
Well,
because
no, absolutely.
It has to, it's one long sentence,
Yeah.
one sentence. I think this, correct me if I'm wrong on this, Wes, okay? Is this directed more or less not to dump on other people's property rather than receptacles? Because it says upon any property, whether public or private, you can't
Yeah.
do any of this on any property and except property. I picked up when I read this that this had to do with me going to your
Mhm.
property and dumping on your
Right.
property
Mhm.
rather than stuff outside the receptacles.
I think it could be interpreted either way.
Yeah. But, and you're right, because it goes on to talk about truck or other
Yeah.
motor vehicle parts and, but it starts off,
Yeah.
and it just reminds us once again that as we try to suggest to town council that we need to get more diligent about what we're doing with trash and recyclables, it's something that we need to send to the real estate managing companies and the owners, and they have to understand that you can't put garbage outside of the cans. It's basically turns into littering when it's not in the can, which brings me around to the police again, where you've got an officer riding down Ocean Boulevard and he sees, go, Wes, if you can go to that one with the bags all outside the cans. Right there. How hard is it for an officer to ride by there, note that, and if nothing else, put the call into the town. It's going to be the weekend, but if an officer can simply ride by there, see it, punch in the rental manager's phone number, because it's a Southern Shores Realty. It's 261-2000 extension whatever. And he says, this is Officer so-and-so. Just want to let you know you're in violation of 26- whatever. And let it go at that. I mean, it's simple enough. He's riding down the road. He's, hopefully not going to an emergency or something, but he can note it. And that's egregious right there.
So then well, then that'd be up to the town to define, or you've been warned, now what?
No, I'm just saying a well-placed call takes care of it, and we don't have to go any further. A lot of it's just going to be more of that. I've picked up the phone on many an occasion, coming back and forth on a Saturday or Sunday and seeing that crap, and it gets taken care of for the most part. I've had to call and get a little bit, more, up somebody's behind if it didn't get picked up by the next day. But it's just a suggestion, once again, to town council to possibly bring a little bit of police help into this. I'm not saying they go knocking on someone's door, but it's just a way of we all take a little part of this and try to make it better. Okay. Anybody else have anything on page 8?
That's public property, the next one.
Huh. Oh, what?
I think it deals mostly with public property.
Yeah.
After this.
Okay, on 26-16, I think that would probably take in the littering deal. To me, that's eight bags of trash sitting out there. As far as police enforcement, you throw a candy bar wrapper out your window or a soda can or something, you get pulled over by our police officer and give them a ticket. Why can't they give a ticket for that? Man, that's way worse, especially when the animals get into it at night. So I'm not saying that our police have spare time to be up on this all the time, but some help would be helpful. But that 26-16 kind of calls that out. And once again, it's something that should be added with our suggestions to the town as far as putting it in the form of a document that we give to the property managers that we can identify. We're not going to get them all because there are a lot of the RBOs in town that we don't even know exist. Anybody have anything else on that page? I think a lot of this is prohibited items, which is okay.
I
Then
think we go back to page 10 on that up top on
Page
13
10.
on prohibited items,
Yeah.
13. We're back with yard trimmings. I mean, I can't see how you can prohibit yard trimmings going into garbage can.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got to go somewhere. Where are you going to put
sure,
it?
yeah.
They're just going to throw it in a neighbor's
Yeah.
yard or something.
I mean,
Make a lot.
I think that would be a suggestion that we would certainly say we could strike that, or we would suggest striking 13 yard trimmings.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to go to the dumps. It's going to decompose just like
Yeah.
the rest of the
Oh,
garbage.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
Yeah, that's, again, if we talk, it might be legal now, because as I said, this was written for, I think it was 3 or 4 companies ago. This is what was going on. Since that time, we've gone, maybe the current company says, I don't care, or just strike it no matter what anyway. But I think it is a good thing if we could somehow get information from them
Yeah.
to us.
Yeah, and that might fall in the same category, Rick, is the 3 foot or 4 foot space necessary? It would be something that we would need input from the refuse company, because they may go, well, it doesn't compress when we go to squeeze everything together to make more room. We got logs or, big branches that just won't compress. Who knows? I mean, we need to maybe ask them.
Yeah.
if-
Yeah, because you have, and basically you're saying you could burn it with the fire department's permission, but,
Right.
that's, I don't know, that's a lot of, people burning stuff that
Yeah.
just
Okay.
shouldn't
well,
be, windy days or whatever. I mean, there's a lot of
Let's,
guidelines to that.
let's note that. Okay. Then the rest of it's, pretty much enforcement, licensing, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Right on through. But there is, where are the penalty and enforcement is on the final page, 13.
I have one question
That'd be a question for Wes.
I'm not aware that it's been applied.
I guess that was a good question.
That's what I said, there's a whole bunch of strikes in here from,
For each, yeah.
yeah.
I skipped right over that, but yeah, that's what would that be?
I didn't know if that was a fee that the government, they paid to come here to do this. No, because we paid.
Yeah, it's almost like would be where everybody goes and gets their own trash collector to come around,
Yeah.
a trash contractor. What do you think that is, Wes?
I mean, it could be, I don't think it's that because, I would hope it's not that because as far as I know, it's never been done, practiced. But, I mean, one example I could think of is when someone has a home under construction, they have to have a,
Dumpster.
pretty much
Yeah.
a dumpster on the site. And there is usually a company that will come and empty it out or replace it. That might be an instance where this could occur.
Yeah, but they don't pay you.
I'm sorry?
Because it says the licensee shall pay for the town. So do you collect $50?
We have not, no.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm not familiar with the situation when this is
I thought it
applied.
was because I thought, well, maybe that needs to be increased because this is so old. But we have never done it.
No, might need to go back on that. Yeah, it's under the heading of licensing of solid waste collectors.
But I mean, it could be read either way, that it could be bay disposal, because it says the board has to approve the license. And the board is the town council as defined on page 10.
Well, I might suggest that somebody take a look at that and figure out what it means as far as it relates to today's discussion. I don't think it's something that we need to be concerned with
No.
on our end, but probably wouldn't be a bad idea to figure that one out. Good catch, Jan.
So,
Okay. Well, the enforcement, that is, what ultimately can occur for a habitual offender. And that's about all we can do. But in that enforcement, it doesn't, I think that enforcement's going along with everything that's in 26, where does that start? 26, 21. So all that is just the enforcement. And what started out on page 10, licensing of solid waste collectors.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So that really doesn't pertain to what we're trying to do here as far as aesthetics of trash bags outside. That is what we're up against right now. So I'm not sure where we leave this tonight, but I think that as far as how we move forward with our requisition and request to the town is we've got to come up with what we would like to see the town work on staff-wise if town council says to go forward with what we're trying to do. And I would be glad to go to the appropriate council meeting as our chairman and lay out what we talked about here tonight. Mr. Holland's been good to be here and visit with us. So you'll hear more from us, I suppose.
It's not an easy thing to address.
No,
No.
it's not. I mean, we don't want to overcomplicate things.
But one of the problems we get here is where, I understand, I don't like it either, but a lot of these people that are coming here for once a week, they're coming from an area where the person, they got another 2, 3 people on the vehicle.
Yeah.
Where our drivers, they don't get out of that.
Mm-mm.
I mean, it can be, the can can be upside down.
Sure.
Not go to do anything.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing, I did learn, the other day talking to some big people, the, recycle, it goes to the transfer station over here first, and it's pre-sorted there. So if there's any, like pizza boxes or stuff like that, that doesn't, they have to take them out.
Yeah.
So it doesn't go automatically right directly to the
Right.
or recycle.
Yeah.
Contractor in the road. And so far, they've been pretty fortunate. They have, since they have not had any votes rejected.
Oh, good.
Well,
One of the things you might want to check on, our recycling numbers are going like this,
mhm.
and our going to landfills going like this.
Yeah.
And we're trying to figure out, Cliff and I had that conversation, and just start, maybe when we went from doing it on, picking trash and recycling at the same time, and then we moved to Wednesday, people said, I'll put it all in there, I'll do it on Friday from the summer. Where did we start noting
Mhm.
change?
Yeah.
And you saw, I think you all saw the article in the pilot, what Chesapeake's done. Matter of fact, they're going to be out of the recycling business come the 1st of July.
Yeah.
And glass has been an issue with them. They're trying to come up with separate bins for that. I mentioned it to the day rep that I was talking to them, and they did not indicate the problem. But not saying it can't happen. The recycling market is chaotic.
Oh, yeah, sure. Well, I don't think we wanna-
Trying to get everybody to do it all at the same time.
yeah. Now,
Getting their own pour in the water, that's.
I think what we will try to do to make our presentation to town council is just some common sense ways that we can try that won't cost a whole lot of money. And I think it starts with the real estate companies and putting them on notice that we've kind of been letting it slide and we're more serious about it now. And you're going to hear from us about it more. So,
One other thing you're talking about, the lids and the wheels. Somehow there needs to be, if a lid gets damaged, there's got to be an easy way for somebody to acquire.
yeah.
I remember, I've got one of the old brown ones, yet I don't use it. But when it got damaged, this is when you could go down here to the county and get a lid and put it on there.
Yeah.
Now, the wheels on the green cans, there's a place in Arizona you can call them and they'll ship them to you.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I see a lot of cans because I walk well.
Mhm.
Very shortly after they come through, and summertime, it's not as bad as it used to be. When the county was picking the stuff up, look like water going out there.
Well, we just, as a group up here, we need to lean on you a little bit to make some of this happen, and we can't legislate how to spend money.
Well, I understand that, but somehow, if you want people to do stuff, it's gotta be easy. And price of replacing a lid, you can call up there and almost deliver
Yeah.
a can for $90 to get.
Well, it's not easy to replace a lid, I can tell you.
Well, that brown one was easy to do. Those are not, I don't think that difficult to replace, just like the
You
wheels.
just got to get them.
Yeah, they gotta be available, like the wheels.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, my neighbor, I have, it ended up in my yard, and I tipped over and getting it back up. And of course, you can order it, the SSEA's got it, or got it sourced in
Yeah.
Arizona. And He doesn't take credit cards, he'll ship them through, you get sent him a check.
Yeah, no, I've done
And
it.
it takes 5 minutes.
Yeah.
The axle on the wheels on.
Well, and we just have to, I think we just have to lean on the real estate companies. They're making plenty of money out of representing these people. The people that work to be able to have a rental house and put it in a rental program, they're relying on them, and we need to rely on them
Oh, yeah.
to maintain what they represent. And I think that if we let them know that we're going to be a little bit more stringent about how this gets enforced, it will be helpful. And then I truly believe that we need to make it, and you can put it in the form of an ordinance, I feel, that you require in each information packet that goes out to the real estate companies, you require, as a town, we could require them doing business in our town to put a one-page explanation of what we ask, please help. And it would have to be crafted by, town staff. And we're not trying to break anybody's back over this, but just let people understand that this is a problem and it's only getting worse. It's not getting better, and we need help. And that's all I think we're trying to do up here, is we're not trying to rewrite a bunch of stuff in this ordinance.
It's a large item to deal with, and the fact that because specifically in the summertime, you've got all the changeover. Some people,
Yeah.
you put that in the packet, it's like, I can leave the horse to water, but
Yeah.
I don't like to make him drink.
Yeah,
Like, he's got to want to drink.
that's right.
And so the agency could do that, but it's the people that get it.
Oh, sure.
Well,
Well, the first step is,
Be better off posting it where the trash receptacles are in the kitchen, because somebody gets in the packet,
Oh, yeah.
3 or 4 kids on their toe, the last thing they're gonna look at is through a piece of paper.
well, but I mean, let's face it, you used to be able to go into the real estate company and get a packet and it was thick. You drove in, parked, you got out of your car. Now, everything you do is online. Everything's pretty much keyless entry, and
The packet's got to be in the house, because they don't.
yeah, the packet is slim. I mean, there's not much of a packet. I know, Twitty, I'm behind them a fair amount of my family stuff, and there's not much in that packet anymore, so it can't hurt.
No, it's definitely, I agree with you, and it needs to be there somewhere else.
Yeah.
This package, I think they got ready when they had to come pick them up.
Mhm.
Today, I just think that it's just another piece of paper laying on the table.
Right,
So
yeah.
the
Yeah.
paper maybe will be there one day
Mhm.
after they leave.
Well, anybody got any suggestions on moving forward with this to take it to town
Yeah,
council?
yeah, I think, Wes, are you going to write anything up on this or what we did?
I've been taking notes, and I can produce a list of what you all have suggested
Okay.
tonight and send it out to see if I make sure I got everything. So I've been
Mhm.
trying to get everything that I can, but yeah, we can do that. I'll make up a list of what was suggested.
Mhm.
And
Would
then,
you, should we request that somebody from Bay Disposal, see if they're interested in just giving us a
Well,
thumbnail of what they think would be beneficial?
I don't know if they would actually need to come to our meeting, but it would certainly be good. And a couple of questions, one being the trimmings, the yard trimmings would be, how do they feel about that? The space between the can, what works for them? Because, I mean, if we're putting together something to take to the real estate companies, we got to be fairly clear and concise, and we can't get too out there with it, but, yeah, as far as the disposal company, I mean, that would be a telephone call for Wes, I would think.
yeah, we can reach out to them for.
Yeah. Well, I guess if Wes can put together, basically a synopsis of what we talked about as far as suggestions, and then more on some interjection of language in here. I don't think we've deleted much
No.
that we've seen in front of us with this town code. If you can do that, Wes, and send it out to us, and then at the next meeting, we will sit down and try to work on some language to take it to the town.
Okay.
As far as
I think that's a good idea.
what we're doing. I think that's reasonable for everybody.
Yep. Just one item, we were talking earlier about how to put in lidded receptacles. Page 2, it has a definition. That's your definition page. So it says receptacle means two-wheeled separate receptacles for solid waste, and we could just add the word lidded.
Yeah.
A functional lid or a functioning lid. In other words, just put that in where it says separate lidded receptacle.
Mhm.
And that covers what we were trying to fit in other places.
Yeah.
Because then the receptacle.
Yeah, I had it in on that same spot there. I had receptacles means two-wheeled separate receptacles for solid waste and for recycling with lids attached and in good working
Yeah.
order.
Yeah,
Was
so
the
that-
definition that I had
Yeah, that's it.
in
I just
there.
wanted, we were talking
So, yeah.
earlier, it's
Yeah.
right there.
Because that's something that if a real estate company is consistently throwing out, and one of those pictures, Wes, if you flip through there, shows the there you go. 83 Ocean Boulevard. It'll be there after this
Next summer.
weekend, and it'll be there next summer. But if we, and it's in the rental program. I don't know if it's Southern Shores or Sun or Twitty or whatever. But if we go, this is unacceptable. This is in violation of our law here. At least you can tell the people. And if they just say, huh, then we take it a step farther because there's some language in here that says shall. Not.
Not
So anyway.
should or could.
But beyond that, I think we're at a good stopping point for this discussion tonight. I think we've done well to
Yeah, I think we,
hold it under 2 hours almost.
almost.
And appreciate Leo coming and
Yeah,
giving
thanks,
us
Leah.
his perspective. I know it's not easy, but it's got to be a little teeny bit.
See, there's an example where at one time you replacing that lid on that ground, you
Yeah.
Yeah,
just slid it through one
Mhm.
side and then went back and then locked itself in.
But you know what? The rental companies,
That was required that from the county.
the rental companies have guys that can change light bulbs and filters, and they can certainly figure out how to change the lid. They get paid, the maintenance guys get paid to do.
Figuring out how to replace it is where you go get one.
Yeah,
And right now, I had to replace mine, I wouldn't know where to go.
Yeah.
And the same way with the green one. But you'll see all the different contraptions even on the axle of what people are trying to do. And that's not, that's not the rental agency, that's the owner doing that.
Mhm.
He doesn't want to pay for 2 new cans.
Yeah.
And I can understand that.
well, they're charging.
About plastic bags in the recycle. I put mine, you got to tear shredded paper.
yeah.
Now, I put mine in a bag that I got from Staples. It's clear, you see it. But I don't know, I wouldn't want to dump my shredded material and then go out there and street the next day, you know.
Yeah. But-
Yeah, that's another thing to clarify, plastic
that-
bags,
yeah.
Wes. Can plastic and or paper, because I heard paper also, if they can't see what's in it, can that be thrown into recycling? Or do they want everything emptied out? Because what I was told is they just trash everything that's in bags.
But they pre-sorting it, they may look at it differently.
They may, yeah.
Well,
That's what we have to find
Like you
out.
say, Wes, if you can note that as a question for the recycler. That way we'll get some clarity as
Yeah.
far as, how we're wording what we would like to see passed on to the real estate companies. Okay. All right, well, we've had old business, we have no new business. Mr. Holland has given us public comment. Thank you, Leo.
Thank you.
And we're there at planning board comments now. Does anybody have anything to add?
I don't
to
know.
this?
No, I'm
I
talking.
think we're good. Wes, you want to tell us of any announcements, upcomings that we've got?
Yes, sir. You all, I put a copy of the 2022 meeting schedule in front of you all tonight.
Yeah.
Note that the January and February meetings are pushed to Tuesdays because of holidays. And in May, the meeting is pushed to a Thursday because the Board of Elections is using the Pitt Center for the primary election that day.
Okay.
Other than that, it's always the third Monday of each month. Now, as you all requested, the time's been moved up to 5 p.m. for every meeting. I think that covers it. On the next meeting will be January 18th.
Mhm. Do we need any formal motion to approve this, or we talked about it last meeting?
It was discussed last meeting. If you all, I mean, it's
No,
not.
I'm-
if
I'm
you-
fine.
Okay. If you all agree with by consensus that
Yeah.
it's acceptable, then.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Okay. All right, so you see anything on the radar that would be coming our way in January outside of continued?
I don't, as far as new business, no, sir. I'm not aware of anything in the moment
Okay.
that would be coming to you all.
Well, I'd like to wrap this up.
Yeah. I'll
Next
make
go
a
round.
motion to adjourn.
I said-
Pardon? Okay. Well, I haven't called for one yet.
Oh, okay.
All right. I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Tony.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
Thanks.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Bye.
All
Adjourn.
opposed,
Okay.
stay here for another day.
No, thank y'all for coming, and Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, definitely. Appreciate it.
This is an extra one.
Thanks for